Start. Hi YouTube, in case you're out there watching, this is the I don't know, seventh or eighth meeting of our DuckDB book club, and today we're going through a chapter that's mostly about the MotherDuck sort of cloud data warehouse service. So that's kind of what's on the menu for today. So I will share my screen once I find the right screen to share. I think I want to be over here. Yep. Um, okay. Yeah. So like this chapter, I mean, it's weird. Yeah, I feel like I was going into my presenter persona, but it's just me and Jonathan. So, yeah, I mean, this chapter is, mostly about MotherDuck, which is a sort of like cloud, AWS based data warehouse that like just integrates pretty well with DuckDB. I think would be a good, you know, especially for kind of like business intelligence stuff. I think it'd be great if like, you know, you were always querying like, oh, like how, what was our revenue last quarter for these products or, whatever. I think it seems like it would fit that use case very nicely. But yeah, so, I think, you know, with something like this, it obviously is like a product, and I guess we're free to use it in our sort of personal lives. And I think the free tier is pretty good, and I think you can actually use it. Some of the features just like locally, not all of them, but just some of them locally. But yeah, I guess if you want to use it in like your actual job, your company has to vet it and buy it and all that stuff. So that I think there's some obstacles to adoption for sure. Um, and I don't know if, Jonathan feels differently, but like, I like MotherDuck puts out a lot of interesting content. I wonder, I had some pulled up, but I guess here, I'll just go. I have a bunch of stuff pulled up, so I'm gonna get to this later. But uh, yeah, like MotherDuck I think puts out a lot of interesting content. Some of it is related to like their specific features. Like I guess it looks like this blog post is maybe like a MotherDuck feature. But yeah, I mean, some of it is just kind of like maybe more community focused or focused on like the broader kind of DuckDB ecosystem. So yeah, I think I think they're making a good contribution to the sort of DuckDB ecosystem. They aren't, the sort of primary developers of DuckDB are different from MotherDuck, even though I think that is maybe like a common um, confusion point for people. Yeah, but so basically the idea is with MotherDuck is that you're basically buying a little like a basically like a little private cloud. So you're getting like a CPU and some storage. Um, and you can kind of scale that up, I guess, but it, obviously costs money because it's in the cloud. Um, so and they I don't know, they do have some cool features like they have these like read-only snapshots. So like if you want to share a file with someone or a table with someone in like kind of a more like robust way than like emailing it or I mean there's lots of ways to share data with people I guess nowadays. But one way you could do it is kind of with this well, I guess this comes later in the chapter, but they have this like basically like this CLI function. I think it was like share or something like that that lets you generate a link to a read-only version of the database that you're working on. Um,
I'm also wondering if there's some like org-wide settings, so, like all of our S3 stuff is
yeah,
loaded and it's available to all of the users in our org. Something like that, I can imagine would centralize like where is our data. I don't know if they have that. I'd be surprised if they don't. But even if
yeah,
you went through and set up all of the S3 or Apache links for all of your users, you'd know that they're being used consistently.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and so yeah, I don't know if they have that either, but that would be a nice like kind of enterprise feature, I guess. And yeah, I mean, even since this book was written, I think they have added a lot of stuff to MotherDuck. So I don't know exactly what's current, what's not. Um, but yeah, we've explored the kind of UI. I don't know, if I like it that much, to be honest. Like and maybe this is kind of my R background and my kind of like for our studio and positron, kind of the four pane layout versus this is kind of more of like a Jupyter notebook style.
I think
Um,
the notebook thing is a lot more common for other languages.
yeah,
Definitely in Python, even some other things, a notebook style is pretty common. And we're not without that in R.
yeah,
Like if you write an R Markdown document, you have like
yeah,
interleaved prose and code.
yeah, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And and this is also maybe a bias, but I do tend to prefer uh, sort of desktop applications to web applications. Even if the desktop application is just a repackaged web application, I usually still like it better. But that might just be my own personal preference. And yeah, I don't know. There are some weird stuff like the notebooks. I think that you like if you I don't know like here I wonder if I can switch my screen um, to wonder why I can't figure out how to do this. Uh,
I think sometimes just stop sharing, reshare.
uh, okay, I'll go over here. Like so, this is I had
Yep.
just pulled this up, and I like if I make a new notebook, it's a cloud notebook. I don't think it lives on my system. I think it lives in their I think it lives in kind of MotherDuck's servers. And I don't know, something about that like chafes me. I want to have the notebook in like a little version controlled repository on my local machine that I can push to get or whatever. I don't like having just this unstructured sort of pool of notebooks. But I don't know. Maybe that's something you
Maybe
can.
part of set up your workspace is having
Yeah,
version control on it. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. That was just my brief foray into messing with it. I'll go back to over
I
here.
think
But
that
yeah,
also that ages us slightly
yeah,
because the kids nowadays that use Chromebooks don't have files. They have
yeah.
their content that they know how to get to.
Yeah, it is wild. And even, I think it is partly this kind of like cloud first. I've noticed like a lot of tools in like desktop applications now in my job will just like operate more like what I think of like a mobile application where it tries to obscure the file structure from you,
Hmm.
and it just kind of presents kind of a big basket of your recent files or whatever. Which yeah, I really don't like. But yeah, I do think you're right. Like I think that's more yeah, more like kind of how uh the computing the style for younger people, I think. I don't know,
Which is not consistent with trying to do a version control thing. Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
eventually need to put a file somewhere into a VCS if you're going to do it that way. But I think it's a
yeah.
generational thing.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting debate is like, is that a new and valid paradigm, or is that like kind of like a dumbed down user experience that is, maybe has some serious drawbacks. Yeah,
But maybe
I'm
they
not
can
sure.
live together.
Yeah, 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 that's true. Yeah.
Like a simple way to
Uh,
get started, and there's maybe a route to get that file into version control.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've heard from people who teach, like they'll teach like an intro class and they're kind of getting everyone set up in our studio or whatever, and then they're like, okay, like now make sure that your working directory is in the folder that has the data or whatever. And then sometimes there's always like a bunch of questions that are like, what are like folders? Like what? Like,
Yeah.
like just yeah, from that kind of level of yeah. So a constant
And if you've
challenge.
only ever worked with Google Docs, you never
Hmm.
needed a file in a folder. You
Yep.
maybe had categoried folders, but maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a bit of a digression for us, I guess. But yeah, it is. I do think it's really interesting. And then maybe like, maybe if like desktop, like I don't know, like right now I don't know if it will show up, but like, I can, uh, on Mac there's like Spotlight and all these other, Windows has like a search function and Linux has different desktop search. But if like you might not necessarily need folders if you have a great file search. You just type in, you know spending spreadsheet or whatever to a search bar and it pulls up exactly what you want. Maybe,
Or if
who
it's
knows?
indexed the contents and you know
Yeah,
what's in there. Yeah,
yeah,
search bars can be really good. I
yeah.
actually do something similar with like my personal notes. I was trying to organize them into folders and all that stuff.
Hmm.
The search in Obsidian just can find
It's really good.
everything.
Yeah.
I just dump it all into one folder.
Yeah. So I sometimes think like, oh, like maybe the directory kind of paradigm is like, holding, sometimes I do think it has flaws. Like I think that yeah, for sure. So yeah,
It's a metadata approach that it's not the only way to do the metadata, and
yeah,
sometimes putting all of your like critical stuff into metadata is the wrong approach. Like file names are bad for storing metadata.
yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, for sure. Um Yeah, I've been recently trying, another digression is on notes. I was using Obsidian. I found this thing I really like called Octarine. Have you ever heard of this? It's a markdown editor, but it's only on a Mac.
Doesn't sound familiar.
It's I think it's relatively new, but I really like the interface. It's quite polished. I like Obsidian's interface also, but I don't know, something about
I
it.
haven't used Obsidian as a markdown editor because if it's
Oh,
something
okay.
that's not my notes, it can't see that. So
Yeah,
I'd be interested. I'm also just comfortable with Emacs for
yeah.
markdown. So
Yeah.
yeah, I send a link sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's another question. It's like, I tried for a long time to use Emacs and ESS, and I liked it, like on some level. But I did uh, recently, not recently, but maybe within the last like year, kind of give up. I just felt like the pace of development was a little slow. I was getting jealous of like the new um, like the Arc language server that Positron has. I don't know. Like I just felt like, ugh, like it's getting to be more work to kind of keep Emacs ESS going than it is to, than I'm gaining from kind of the parts of it that I like. So I don't know. But that's like another question for another time. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I would say like pretty standard authentication process here. I had some questions like, so I think you have to store, where's the little secrets file? Oh no, that's if you're using FS3. Yeah, so I guess for this, you have an environmental variable called MotherDuck token. Um, and I think normally you'd probably, if you're using a little browser thing, you use this dialog here, but yeah, you can uh, call export from within the DuckDB CLI, I guess. Is that right? Uh, yeah, I think that's right, which is interesting because yeah, I don't know, whatever.
So is that
I,
CLI local? Is that
here, since we have the time, why, we might let's try it. Let's see. How do I generate my token? Um,
I mean, I guess just the dot open MD for MotherDuck. You can see if that what that
let's see.
does.
All right, I'm gonna try. Do I have? Okay, yep, I have dot open. Um, uh, well, I don't know. Nothing happened. Let's. Oh, I didn't use the colon at the end.
Oh,
Okay.
oh.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it'll just, I guess, uh, and then I'm, back over here. Yeah. So I guess that's you just, I don't know what the And now I'm going through all kinds of stuff. Don't steal my MotherDuck account, YouTube. Um, yeah, so I don't know. That looks fine. Um, yeah. Um, you can, basically do the same thing from Python, uh, but you have to pass, I guess you have to pass the token in the connect statement. Um, yeah, I mean, it has kind of an interesting like structure, MotherDuck, where like they're kind of trying to route queries to like the best place. So like, uh, I guess if a data lives in S3, and I think you can control this, but like I think by default, if the data lives in S3, it will run it um, on like an Amazon, on like one of MotherDuck's little compute nodes. And if it's local, it will run it locally. And I think you have some control. I forget, there's like some option that you can set for individual queries that, forces it to run locally or in the cloud. Um,
In theory, if you had a lot of data and maybe not the biggest laptops in your
mhm.
organization and you didn't have distributed compute, now you've got a way to process that.
Yeah.
I mean, at a
Yeah.
cost, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's nice. Like, I think, and I do think that, like, for me, the maximum amount of like compute, whether usually the limit for me is like memory. you know on the high end, I maybe need like 64 or 128, but I almost never need that. Like it's like once in a while I need that. And so it is nice to be able to kind of go up and down. um just use your local machine, and then if you like, oh, that one, once a month or whatever, that you need a little bit more, you can kind of scale up, which is nice. Um, uh, yeah, and some of these commands are not just specific to MotherDuck. You can, and I double checked even. I went into the DuckDB documentation. But yeah, so you can create a database, and then when you're querying that database, you can use this use verb over here, which basically just like sets the database context for the query that follows it. Um, and or you can also do this alternative. I don't know if they have it, but you basically put the name of the database in quotes, and then a period, and then the table name, and they call that prefixing. Um, and yeah, I am curious, like if I just like open a DuckDB session on my laptop and just ask for a list of databases, will it know, like, say I have a database in one folder, and I'm in a different folder, and I say use that database, like where is it getting that list? I know in MotherDuck it's getting it from MotherDuck's whatever their special backend is, but I don't know how that would work locally. If you could just kind of yeah.
I thought it had to be the folder that you've like launched DuckDB from.
Yeah, I suspect that's true. I feel like that must be true. But I don't know, it'd be kind of cool if it didn't have to be. Like if it, had some kind of index or whatever, like you said, of all the databases, all the DuckDB databases on your machine. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it has to be the same directory. Um, so yeah, just kind of going through this database creation workflow here. I don't know that there's anything super exciting about this. Yeah, but here's something that I thought was a cool feature is the sharing. You can share a read-only copy, just with this create share uh, function. There was something up here I wanted to mention. I feel like uh, no, I guess not. Yeah, so that seems like somewhat helpful, this database sharing feature. Um, and I think they've added a lot of sort of like similar kind of quality of life features like in the interim time. Like I was looking at their blog. I don't know. I might have lost that page, but yeah, I'll just go back. And like, they have this snapshot feature now where you can snapshot a database and do rollbacks if something goes wrong, which, seems pretty cool. I think on um, yeah, I mean, I would love to have that feature, honestly, in just my regular life. Um, but yeah, uh, so I do think they have added a lot of usability stuff.
So
Um,
just before you scroll down too far, the end of the previous section about shares.
mhm.
So the top of the next, bottom of the next page up. Yeah, so this update share, at the time of
Mm,
publication, shares are not automatically updated, which uh, I get it. That's a way to share a snapshot
yeah.
of that, but that means you can't
Mm,
use it for like, here is our current
yeah.
query, which, yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of a pain. I wonder if they've added a lever for that or like a toggle. But yeah, because then that's not that different than just sharing like an email attachment, which is
Mm.
static. Um, uh, unless you want, I mean, I guess I can imagine cases where you don't want it to change, where like maybe you're sending it to someone and for like a discussion or something, and you don't want it to change before you've had the discussion. I don't know, but
But it sort of
yeah,
comes back to that version control thing that whatever that snapshot is now that version.
yeah.
And yeah, you can't look at latest somehow.
Yeah, I do think those two features must be like in the underlying architecture related, like this snapshot thing and the or I don't know, I could be wrong about that. But I do kind of think it's a view. I feel like it's probably just a view under the hood, but yeah, I don't know what it would be. But maybe not worth speculating on it.
So the share does have a snapshot ID. I think it does actually create one of those snapshots.
Oh, cool. Huh. Wait, is this the snapshot
So
ID?
the bottom of page 54,
Here, I'll just search. Uh,
snapshot underscore ID. There you
oh,
go.
yep, you're right. Yep. Nice. Huh.
Now it's not clear whether
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at a database ID or a snapshot ID because they've got the same format.
Yep. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It seems like a useful feature. Uh, and I guess it's yeah. Um, and yeah, here's this bit about like kind of instructing it to run locally or in the cloud, depending. I think you can do it auto, set it to auto, and then it will do, I think what I described, which is that like if the data is in AWS, it will do it in the cloud. I mean, honestly, I think if it's anywhere but your local hard disk, I think it will run it on your cloud compute, and then if it's on your local disk, it will run it on your local disk. Um, uh, and since the time of the this was written, I think they did change their pricing. I think it's uh like now, I think it used to be $25 a month for this kind of like light tier. And now they have kind of like the hobbyist tier, which I think is maybe like pay as you go. I'm not 100% sure. And then this kind of like, more expensive. This would be, I think, hard to justify as a hobbyist, $250 a month, but maybe for a business makes sense. Um, that's where I guess where you start to get like the snapshot retention and stuff like that. So, um, Let's see. And yeah, so this, I didn't dive in too much. Uh, and they have done a lot of development, it looks like, on kind of having a like I think when this book was written, I don't think MCP servers existed. I could be wrong about that. Or at least weren't I don't know.
I think the book is a bit older than that.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I do know that they have an MCP server now that lets you kind of like present your uh, information about your data to like a model in a structured way. And I think that could be cool. Like I would definitely rather give that to someone than a dashboard, um, where, like they get the dashboard and then it has some of the stuff they want and not all the stuff. And then they're just coming back to you anyhow to ask for more stuff. And, I don't know. I do think this is a promising kind of evolution of the dashboard. It's just like a plain language query instead of a bunch of like toggles and dials and stuff. Um, but yeah, I'm sure there's limitations, and I don't know also about like the kind of security uh, side of things when it comes to that. But I'm sure they've given that some thought. So yeah, one day I would like to play around with that. I haven't gotten around to that, but they do have a bunch of blog post about it, I think. Uh, yeah. Uh, well, at least two blog posts. Uh, oops. And yeah, so here, good integrations. As you have to have, I guess, for your enterprise tool. So yeah, I think it looks like a good tool. It looks like, I think if you sell your company, I would be, pleased if my company got this. But yeah, I think it is a competitive field. I think this kind of like data warehouse, a cloud warehouse thing, and I do think I don't know, it's always hard to convince people to get new stuff. But yeah, it seems like a very cool piece of software, and I think they do. It seems like they are good sort of members of the DuckDB kind of ecosystem in general. Um, one thing I was kind of Googling around. I was thinking like, it'd be really cool if I could like kind of have like a self-hosted version of MotherDuck where like, like I have like a laptop that's not all that powerful, and then like a bigger computer that is like more powerful. So it'd be like, oh, it'd be nice if I could, have like MotherDuck on the big computer and query it from my laptop. And so one kind of janky way to do that is with these things called Aero flight servers, which are basically ways to send uh, tables in the arrow format, uh, sort of to and fro across the internet. And so it does allow you to do things like instead of having to like download a whole file to query it, you can, just download the first 10 rows or whatever and to get or like, or download just the schema to find out like what the file's about before you download the whole thing. So yeah, if you ever, it's maybe kind of a big project, but you could set up a little Apache flight server on your home devices, and there is this nice extension called Airport, I think, Airport for DuckDB that allows you to, kind of accomplish something similar to MotherDuck. Obviously, like I think the MotherDuck experience is going to be much more polished than this one, but I think I would like to try this at some point. I'm not sure I'll ever get around to it, but it does seem like a cool product, or not a
Maybe
product.
share that link in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
chat or the Slack. It looks interesting. I'm just wondering what the difference is between that and like SSHing into a bigger machine and just running DuckDB.
Yeah, I think fundamentally they're not that different, but I do think like um I do think you're still in like the local environment, um, but you're just running the queries on the like remote machine versus like SSH, you're basically like So you're like in the remote machine,
Yeah.
yeah. So like I do think it's a little different. Like I'm trying to think why you'd prefer one or the other. Here I'll put it in
And
the chat.
is there some concept, I don't recall, is there some concept of a remote DuckDB database that would be like an SSH protocol to a DuckDB?
I at one point wanted to do this also, and I found an extension. But I didn't try that. I didn't try it, but
Because that would be
uh,
local with the database being
yep.
remote.
There is this. I haven't tried this, but yeah, I don't know if this
Yeah.
is what I think that's what this attempts to do. So like if you have, oh no, so this isn't just a DuckDB file. It's any file system you can interact with uh, uh, over SSH. I don't know how, um, like for instance, like if you wanted to read from the Parquet file on the SSH, on the remote machine, I don't know if it's if you have to, if it's basically just downloading the whole Parquet file locally,
I
or if
don't
it's,
think
yeah,
so.
okay. Because yeah, that'd be nice if it could run the query on the big machine, and give you the results on the little machine. Um,
That may even be running on the local machine, but having to send all the data from the remote. So the
yeah,
compute still happens locally, but all of the data has to go through the air.
yeah. Well, maybe that's not that great then, but
Well, depends. Like it's only
yeah,
the results that have to like go back and forth.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to, I guess, the moral of the story is like, there's lots of kind of ways to interact with DuckDB over the air. I'm not sure, and now I'm not exactly sure what the advantage of something like this, like you said, would be over something like this, which seems easier to set up for sure. Um, but I think there must be some additional features that kind of justify the existence of this Aero Flight server protocol. But
So the what does airport enable? One of them would be transform an API into an SQL queryable data source. So
mhm.
having an API, just wrapping it into this so that you can like merge it with your data, definitely.
Yep. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, so, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but I would like to try to do this. I think it would be such a handy thing to have for like my own little projects, but it seems like a big I'm gonna need a 3-day weekend maybe for that. So uh and here, so I'll stop sharing unless we think of anything else we want to search for. Um Yeah, I don't know. Like, how are you mostly, what is your division in your work between like kind of local and remote uh, queries or, compute in general?
Yeah, it's changed a lot depending on
Yeah.
which clients I'm working with. Some
Okay.
of them
Yeah.
just have org-wide compute and give you a really, really small laptop.
Hmm.
Um, Others, like for a startup, there is no external compute. So if you can't figure it out, then you've got to go and build it on AWS yourself
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
or something like that. So yeah, for a startup that doesn't have a big compute service, I could see the advantage in maybe
Yeah.
paying for that through this if you're definitely sure that that's where your data is going to go or
Yep.
where your data is going to read from. Having it being able to read like the different architectures, so not having to move the data out of S3 or out of
Hmm.
Apache or
Yeah.
wherever the people who put it there want it to be, that's a massive advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. That is nice.
Yeah, most
Um,
processing could read from wherever that data is.
yeah. 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 That's a good point. And yeah, it is. I feel like it's often confusing. It's like, I don't know. There's like everyone has their own little data lake or data warehouse, and to navigate between all the different formats and stuff is kind of a challenge in and of itself. But yeah, I do think now, like
Data
I think
swamps.
data swaps. Yeah, no, I think yeah, I haven't heard that, but that makes sense. That it does feel like a swap more often. But yeah, I think DuckDB can read Iceberg, I guess now, where that's like a relatively recent development. I don't know what other, we saw from that nice chart that MotherDuck has many integrations. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. It is kind of but yeah, I think if I had a little startup and I was like kind of in charge of the data infrastructure, I would definitely, I think this would be a great, like I would definitely consider it. I think it looks like a strong contender. Um,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. Um, well, I don't know. Do we have any other thoughts? Thank you, Mother Duck, for donating the book that we are reading in this book club. I believe they did do that, so that was nice of them. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay. Yeah. So
that's
I
all
think
I
we
had
can
for it. Yeah.
we can call it quits. Next week is week 8, and I think it's about like DBT and DuckDB, I think.
Yeah, I need to read more on DBT.
Yeah, me too. I,
Uh,
I I feel like it's gotten really popular, but I don't know it that well. But um
I did
uh
find a reasonable link. Maybe not that one. Hang on. So this is posits. What even is DBT?
oh, I think I saw that but didn't listen to it. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like an hour long, so I'm
Okay, it's a long
about to
time.
make my way through that one.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I think my understanding is that it's kind of just a more structured way to approach like the transformation step, uh, especially if you're dealing with like high volumes of transformation, data transformation. And also maybe it's kind of giving SQL some of the nice stuff that like functions and uh, like kind of trying to emulate some of those features that regular programming languages have. I think that's my like high level understanding of DBT. So I don't know.
I did watch listen to the test set episode, I think with Emily.
Mm,
And yeah, Hadley was saying it, things that you would expect to see in any other programming language that SQL just never had.
okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because yeah, it is a pain. I've been messing with writing SQL queries, and then I'm like, oh, I want to do that again. I'll just save it to a. Oh wait, nope. Like like yeah. So it is. I think when you integrate it with Python or R or whatever, you can kind of get around some of that, but it definitely is not as seamless or painless as just kind of the like doing something natively in Python or R.
Yep.
So yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So I'll see Jonathan next week and whoever else. And yep. Everyone have a great week. And I'll stop the video.